Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing a May wrap up. This is kind of later than I would have liked to post it, but with everything going on in the world, I'm a little late. Also, are my eyebrows really just like, I should have filled in my eyebrows. It looks like I don't have any. Anyway, that's not important. Before I get started, I just want to say I hope everyone's doing well. I know right now it's a really stressful time, and I hope everyone's using their voice in a positive manner to, help the Black Lives Matter movement, because this is a very serious situation that needs all the support it can get, and hopefully everyone's using their social medias and whatever platforms they have mindfully and with purpose during this time, and make your posts purposeful, and not harmful. So yeah, and I'm going to try to remember to link down below resources to help with the movement, but you probably have already seen them because a lot of people are really giving their support, which is so awesome. So that's what I want to share. Also, I want to wish everybody a happy Pride, because it's officially Pride Month, which is exciting. I was gonna participate in two Pride readathons, but because they were at the beginning of the month and I've been really busy protesting and I've just been a little stressed, I did not participate in them, but hopefully everyone who is participating is seriously enjoying it. I will definitely make sure to read Pride books this month, so don't have to worry about that. But let's get started onto the books. This month I read 17 books in total, which is pretty good. Most of them are very short, and that's mostly because I was in school still, and so I didn't have a lot of time, and also I was just kind of grabbing things off my bookshelf, to be honest, so it just turned out to be a lot of smaller books. But yeah, let's start out with my 5-star books. There we go. I was like, what am I talking about? My 5-star books, which I had, how many did I have this month? I had 5-star books this month, which is really awesome. Also, if you're wondering what I'm looking at my journal full of all my reading stuff. So yeah, let's start with the 5-star stuff because that's the most important. I'm also probably not going to really be giving like deep explanations for every single book, because that would just take way too long and it's kind of unnecessary. So yeah, I'm just gonna give like basic opinions on these books. Anyway, the first book I'm gonna show you is The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan. The month of May was Asian and Pacific Islander month. Is that the name of that? I feel so ignorant sometimes. I think that was it. And so I decided to finally read The Joy Luck Club, and let me tell you what, The Joy Luck Club was so good. I did have like a reading vlog on my channel where I did read that book in that reading vlog, and I talked about how much I really enjoyed it. It's so beautifully written. It's like really flowy and feels almost, if you hear birds, I'm so sorry. My mom feeds the birds, and so they're always next to my window. So yeah, but anyway, this book is written so poetically and beautifully, and I just love it so much. Sometimes I have a hard time with books that are super flowy like this, but Amy Tan does such a good job doing that, and I feel like I learned a lot, and I just thought it was so beautiful. And I do believe she's Chinese. Yes, she is Chinese, so she wrote about different Chinese generations and their mother. It's like all about mothers telling their children, their daughters, their stories, so it's a mother and daughter type narrative, so it's really nice. I enjoyed it a lot, and there's quite a few perspectives in this book, which is also awesome. It's also kind of crazy because my family is Japanese, and Japanese Chinese people are typically really different, but when you're reading these things, they feel like they have like a lot of commonalities, which I thought was super cool to read about. And so yeah, I 10 out of 10 recommend this. I think I've seen this a lot on the internet, so I think quite a few people have talked about it, so you don't probably need me to continue talking about it, but it's super good, and my mom is the one that recommended me to read this book, and I'm happy she did. Alright, and my next 5-star rating was Amy Tan's Where the Past Begins, a writer's memoir, because I loved The Joy Luck Club so much. I decided to read her memoir, and it was so good. It was so well written. Again, feels almost poetic, and I really liked it because it also talked about mental health quite a bit in here, trauma, depression, just a whole ton of things, which I think is really awesome, because a lot of times in mental health, books about mental health or has mental health representation in it, it's not usually minorities that are mentioned with mental health, which sometimes can be very frustrating as a minority to sit through things that are about mental health and be like, oh, I feel like it's like, I don't know, I feel like I'm not represented in the category of mental health sometimes, and so hearing it from a minority is just so nice to be like, oh, we too have issues, and I think that's really awesome. And I enjoyed this book so much. I've learned so much about her as a writer in here, and I enjoyed it. Definitely recommend this also. She also explains her other books and her reasonings for making those books, which I think is really interesting, and now I can't wait to read more from Amy Tan because I think she's like my new favorite author. All right, my next 5-star reading was The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown. Now, this book is a little controversial. Some people love it, and then the other half absolutely hates it. I was one of those people that loved it. I learned a lot of things from it. I fact-checked a lot of the book, and a lot of it was true. Some of them are more conspiracies or arguments between historians, and I feel like that's just kind of interesting to learn about these things. It was definitely really enjoyable. I love this book so much. It flew so quickly. It reads very nicely. It feels almost like an action. It feels like if you ever watched like an action movie or whatever, it feels like that, but the reading, which this is not usually typically something I would read, but I loved it. I loved every single moment. The whole book, it's like super suspenseful. You're trying to figure out like what's happening, like, ooh, who did what, and everything like that. And it's just so exciting. And I really do like it. And if you don't like, because I know some people were offended because they found it kind of blasphemous. If that offends you, I would try to look through it more through like a fiction type of lens instead of like taking it super literally, because it is a fiction novel. It even says it right back here, fiction. So it probably shouldn't, I don't know. I think it was well done. I enjoyed it. I don't really think they said anything super bad in this book. I thought it was really nice, and they mentioned many religions within the book, which was kind of exciting, and talks about like how religion affects the world and the lies that sometimes come from many sources of religion. So yes, no one religion is safe in this book for sure, but I 10 out of 10 recommend this book. It's so good, and I cannot wait to read the rest of the series. Fun fact, this is actually the second book in the series, which I didn't know that, so I just went right ahead and read it. But you don't really need to read, I don't think, was it Angels and Demons by Dan Brown before to understand what's happening, because I didn't feel lost at all. So yes, definitely recommend this, but I'm definitely going to read the series to see if it adds anything to that book. I really enjoyed it though. All right, and then the next 5-star reading I had was The Alchemist. I am so excited that I finally read The Alchemist. I, for whatever reason, have never read it, which is really strange because I feel like a lot of people have read this. My sister has read it before, and she liked it, so when I found it at the thrift store, I was like, I need to read this book, and I did. And oh my goodness, I loved it. It was beautiful. Obviously some parts of it are a little problematic. I know some people have issues with this because it doesn't really depict women as like independent or whatever. Like throughout the whole book, women are constantly waiting for their husbands, but that didn't for me deter me from enjoying the reading, which typically I think something like that would, but because it's so beautifully written, I enjoyed it. And the women in here seem highly intelligent. They just wait on their husbands too much. I mean, like, I personally want to do it, but I think that's just the vibe of that, the vibe that he was going for. I don't know. That didn't make any sense what I just said. It doesn't have to make any sense because you might understand me, you might not, whatever. But I enjoyed this book. I read this in one day, I think, and it was so beautiful. And I cannot wait to reread this again. If you've never read this, definitely recommend picking this book up. All right, and then the last book I read was Crossfire by, what's her name? Stacy Ann Chen. I'm not saying that right. I wrote her name on here, but like I have terrible handwriting, so like her name and her first name and her last name are kind of combined together, and I don't really know where it ends. But I'll pop the cover up somewhere on here. I borrowed this from the library through ebooks, and it's a poetry book written by a black, and she's also, I think is she Korean? Yes, black and Korean mixed woman who's also queer. I had read this book because I was doing sorry, I got a text message. Sorry. I was reading this book because I was participating in the Queer Lit Readathon, and it started on the 31st, one of those days. And so I read it that day, and oh my goodness, it is so beautiful. I never realized that I don't ever really read queer poetry. I have read queer books, but I've never read queer poetry, which is kind of strange to me. In this poetry book, she talks about what it's like being a minority woman, what it's like being a lesbian woman, and she talks about trauma quite a bit in there, and it's so awesome and super uplifting. I think in times like this, you definitely want to read this book because I felt so motivated while I was reading it. She just talks about so many helpful and good things within the novel, and I enjoyed it so much. I felt super empowered, and I definitely recommend this book. I feel like I've never heard anyone talk about it, and I think on Goodreads there wasn't very many reviews on there, so let's go give her some love because that book was really nice. I don't know if there's anything problematic in it. I can't really remember if there's anything problematic because I was just so moved by her poetry, but if there was, sorry. But I enjoyed it so much. 10 out of 10, I recommend this book. Alrighty then, now we're gonna get into our 4-star ratings, and this month for 4 stars I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had 5 4-star ratings, which is really good. This is a good reading month. I also should say that I'm not very good at reading books. I kind of don't like to rank people low on books because, I don't know, I'm not very picky. I'm not hard to please, if that makes sense, but yes, that's not important right now. Who cares? Okay, the first book I'm gonna talk about is Romeo and Juliet by Shakespeare. I have been in like a Shakespeare kick. Last month I read 2 Shakespeare plays, so this month I wanted to read another one. So I picked up Romeo and Juliet, and I hated this book in high school because I read it my freshman year of high school, I believe. Yes, freshman year, and I hated it because I was like, how stupid. But now that I'm an adult, I kind of understand better what's going on. I kind of get like his intentions with writing this, and I enjoy it a lot better when I'm older, and I'm not like, oh my gosh, like, ew, you know what I'm saying? Like, I appreciate it now. And so I gave it a 4 out of 5 because I loved it and I flew right through it. It was so beautiful. And I think I also had that in my reading vlog from a week or so ago because I read quite a few books that week. So I'm pretty sure this shows up in that reading vlog. So yes, definitely recommend reading this play, though I'm sure most people have. Then I got If I Stay by Gayle Forman, and I actually like this book a lot. I think I gave it a 3-star the first time I read it, which was, maybe I did give it a 4-star, I'm not really sure. But I read this when I was like in middle school or something, and I liked it for the most part. I didn't really understand romance that much when I was younger because I just didn't understand like love, like gross, you know what I'm saying? But now that I'm older, I appreciate it. It's so cute, and I just sometimes like to read stuff like this where it's just like super like, it's not like a super light book because it actually has a lot of depressing things in here, but like the aspect of love is super light in here and not very complex, which I like. And like during times where things are just stressful, that is just so nice. And I just finished my finals when I read this. I just felt so good and uplifted. I enjoyed this a lot. This is also, fun fact, the first book I ever bought whole price with my own money. And I was so proud. I just wanted to read it because I love the movie so much and I love the book even more. So yeah, I just wanted to share that useless information in case you cared. All right, and then I have The Souls of Black Folk, and I wanted to read this because, why do I want to read this? Oh yes, because I feel like if you're in school, I feel like at some point your teacher has referenced The Souls of Black Folk before. At least in my experience, I've heard this referenced when I was in high school. I hear it nonstop in college, especially in my social justice class I took and my sociology class. In some of my psychology classes, this has also been mentioned. So I wanted to read this, and I actually really liked it. It is a very dense book because it's written very formally, and so it's not something you're sitting there like, oh, this like warms my heart or something. Like, this is a very formal book and it's a very serious book. So this took me longer than like I think I finished it. It didn't take me so long to finish it, but I think I want to reread it again eventually, probably this year or next year, so that I could take more time on this book, because I think this book needed more time, and I believe it probably would have been a 5-star if I had spent more time on this. But sometimes I just like fly through books, so yes. But I do recommend this so much. I enjoyed it. I feel like I learned a lot, especially about the time period this was written in. And so I just think it's really interesting. So I think you should give it a go. You know, you'll probably like it. Just make sure you save some time for you to read it. and read something light in between, because it's definitely a heavy book, but I absolutely enjoyed this book and I really recommend reading it. All right, and then I have another 4-star book, which is A Wrinkle in Time. I loved A Wrinkle in Time. I was really surprised because when I'm on YouTube, I've heard good things, but I've also heard that it's like super strange and they didn't like it. But I absolutely love this book. I thought it was really nice. It definitely had like a religious theme going on through there, and I think the theme of religion was pretty obvious, I think, but it's not like heavy about religion, if that makes sense. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But I love this book. I thought it was really cute. I loved everything about it. Yeah, I have fresher thoughts because I also read it in the vlog from last week or something like that. And oh my goodness, I love this book. Was it last week that I made that vlog? I don't know when I did that. But anyway, I love this book. It's so cute. Very nice. This is like a middle grade book, I think. And if I don't know what like young person is like, wow, I really love this, but like for adults, I think this is a really good adult novel, and so definitely recommend reading this. And I think I might go on with, I think there's like 4 books in this series or something. It's like a quartet, I'm not really sure, but I think I'm gonna go on with the series because it's so nice, and I feel like it deals with a lot of subjects, religion, also the environment. So I absolutely enjoyed this and definitely think everyone should read this book at some point, even if you've heard bad things about it, because I think it's really good. Alright guys, this is Editing Kiana, and I'm here to mention another 4-star book that I forgot to mention when I actually filmed the video, which is Shame is an Ocean, I Swim by Mary Lambert. This book, I rated 4 out of 5. I really liked it. She talks about sexual assault. She talks about her gender identity. Not her gender identity, her sexuality, and things like that. And so I really enjoyed that quite a bit. And so I gave it a 4 out of 4. I mean 4 out of 5. So yes. Also trigger warning for that book because it does mention sexual assault quite a bit. So yes. But yeah, I forgot to mention it because I read it on through ebook, so I didn't have the physical copy, so I kind of forgot. But yes. Just want to let you know. Alrighty, now we're gonna head over to the 3-star rating books. Which, how many books do I have 3-star rating for? 1, 2, 3. Oh no, not 3, 4. I only had 4 3-star ratings, which is pretty good. 3 stars, pretty average. For me, 3-star doesn't mean I disliked it, but it just means I didn't love it. It's like, and for some people that might mean it's a 2-star, I don't really know, but for me, if I'm not like really vibing with the book, I give it like a 3-star, because 3 stars just feel nice. But anyway, the first 3-star I'm gonna show you that I read was The New Young American Poets, an anthology, edited by Kevin Purfer and forward by Richard Howard. I cannot pronounce anything, but I got this from the thrift store a while ago, and I thought this sounded just super interesting, but I didn't like it as much as I anticipated liking it, to be honest. This is probably between like a 2.5 and a 3. It's on a very low side of a 3, because there's just some poems in here that I did not like at all, and then there's some poems in here that I was like, wow, it touches my little heart. But I mean, overall I enjoyed it, and I think the reason why I didn't really give it a 2 is because I've learned a lot from different cultures, because that's what kind of like an anthology does. It teaches you about different lifestyles and things like that, which I enjoyed. It's just some of them I didn't really like the way they were written. So that was my issue. But in here it talks about, what do we talk about? We talk about gender, sexuality, we talk about different cultures, like Sherman Alexie, I'm struggling, he wrote a poem in here about Native culture, so just stuff like that is in here, and I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite, like, I don't know, there was just some poets in there I did not enjoy. Okay, and then I read Milk and Honey, which is crazy. What did I really give Milk and Honey a 3? Yeah, I gave Milk and Honey a 3. When I first read it, I absolutely did not like it. I don't know why. I think poetry is definitely for mood readers. Like, if you're somebody who wants to get into poetry, definitely only read poetry when you're in the mood to consume some. Because if you're not, it's not going to be good. You're not going to like it. So when I read it again, because I wanted to see if I would like it better, I liked it so much better. I thought it was beautiful. A lot of emotions I felt throughout reading this, happiness, sadness, just so beautifully written. I loved this book. I definitely recommend it. It's on definitely the higher part of the 3 area. The reason why I didn't give it a 4 was because it wasn't like, it didn't give me as much emotions as poetry that I rank 4 or 5 typically give me, but I'm sure if I read it again, it'll probably be even higher. I think this is one of those books, if you didn't like it the first time, which I think most people just liked it, but if you didn't, I definitely would give it another go. But I so much liked it better now than when I read it the first time, so definitely recommend this book for sure. Alright, and then for some light reading, I read The Bad Beginnings by Lemony Snicket. This is the first book of a series of unfortunate events. Isn't this copy just really weird? I got this off of Thrift Books, and it just looks strange. Anyway, I decided I wanted to reread the series. I've read most of the books, and now I own many of the books. I think I need to do a haul soon. But yeah, I think I'm probably gonna have to read the series out of order because I really want to read them, but I really want the hard copies because I'm materialistic apparently. But anyway, that doesn't matter. That's not what we're here for. Sorry. But this book was actually so good. I love it. As an adult reading this, it's so strange how like your brain changes throughout life, because when I was younger, I was like, I just love this book because it was like dark, and I liked dark books when I was like in elementary school and middle school. I was like, this is my life, like, yes. But as an adult, I was like, wow, oh my gosh, like this really was kind of sad, and also it sounds like a realistic reflection on our foster care system. I know you're probably like, oh, okay, no, relax, like don't get like so deep like that. But like what I mean is, like they let these kids just stay with, it feels like anyone. Like when you think about the whole series, they're constantly just staying with like anyone, just because some of them are related to them, and they're constantly putting in danger, and nobody listens to them when they're like, wow, this is a bad situation. And I'm like, this feels like real life. And so I was upset. But I enjoy this book so much. I think reading it as an adult, you will like it better because there's so many dark undertones, but as an adult, these dark undertones, you can more easily connect to real life situations. I'm sure I thought about things like that when I was younger, but I didn't take it as heavily, you know what I mean? It didn't like stick with me, but as an adult, this is definitely sticking with me, so yes. Definitely recommend this. This is probably should have been a 4 out of 5. I think I'm changing that right now. This is now a 4 out of 5 now that I've talked about it, because I just, there's so many undertones in this book, and I love that. Alright, and now we've come to our last book, which was the only 2 out of 5 stars that I gave this month, and I don't really ever give anything under a 3 because I don't like that, because I feel like I'm judging somebody's art, but I did not like this book. Honestly, this is not a popular book by any means. By the way, the book is A Symphony of Blood by Matthew J. I'm not going to try to attempt to say that last name, but it's not a good book. I think if this book was longer, it would have been a beautifully written book. I think it'd been amazing or whatever, but it was so short, and they tried to shove way too much into the story in such a small amount of time, and I hated it. Like by the end, I don't really care about the characters all that much. There was even plot twists in here, and I'm like, for a book that's, how many pages is this? I think it's only like a little bit over 100 pages. Yeah, it's 102 pages. For something this small, I don't think plot twist or something easy to do in that short of a time, because it's just not, I don't know, I don't really care about the plot twist. I'm like, okay, plot twist, okay, I don't really care because I didn't really know the character that long to really be like, oh, like I didn't ever expect them to do something like that because I don't know you, so like I don't trust you because I don't know you, so like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and also it's supposed to be like based in like very old times. I don't think even tell you what time period this is supposed to be, but you could just tell that it's supposed to be like very far in the past because there's like no modern technology. Also, if this font doesn't scream old-fashioned to you, I don't know what does.
Okay, sorry. I'm about to start the blender.
Sorry, I was interrupted. But if sorry, I'm distracted. But it's just too much happened in a short period of time, and I just didn't appreciate it. I didn't like it. My sister's rude. Do you hear her? Blending. Love that for her. Anyway, I just didn't like it. I thought it was really boring. It's supposed to be like based in the old times. That's what I was talking about. It's supposed to be like older fashioned, but it's written in such a modern way that I could not somehow believe that this was supposed to be based in like a long time ago. It just didn't feel like it, because I've read a lot of writings where they don't really change like the words, but it just feels like super old, and this does not feel super old at all. It feels super modern, but it's not supposed to be modern, so I don't know. I didn't like it. I was in a vampire mood, and this kind of quenched it. I was like, ugh, like not in a good way. I was like, it's like when you're like thirsty and you want to go get water, but someone gives you salt water instead. That's how this felt like. I just didn't like it. This is a series. I'm probably not going to participate in reading the rest of the series because I didn't like it. I do believe that this writer will probably one day make really great books for sure, but this just wasn't that, because the writing wasn't so bad. It's just, I don't know if this was his niche, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, no disrespect, it just wasn't for me. Alright everybody, that's it for this video. If you made it to the end, nice. It was really long. I don't expect you to sit here through that because I couldn't. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, that would be nice if you subscribed. And I hope you guys have a blessed rest of your week, blessed rest of your day, blessed rest of your week, and make sure you're kind to every soul that you may meet. And I will see you guys in a different video. Deuces.